Hey guys, my name is Twaxter and I'll be doing 25 advanced tips in Deadlock. I might go over, but whatever. I'm gonna just jump right into it. This is not gonna be like a beginner friendly guide. There's tons of guides already released on Deadlock. So I'm gonna kind of show some kind of advanced tips that I kind of just learned after playing the game and reading patch notes. And let's just get started. So often I see people when they go up to these crates, I see them shoot them and then they just pick up the souls afterwards. Or they go up to them and they melee them and do this, and they kind of waste time doing so. What you can actually do in this game is if you're dashing, if you're sprinting, if you crouch, you'll be sliding. And when you slide, you can actually break these crates and then you can pick up anything that's in the crates as you go. You can dash through them, you can also slide through them. So, very useful to quickly get stuff without having to stop. What's also super important is boots only cost 500 souls. And if you get them early game, not only do they let you sprint and let you move around faster, but they allow you to basically over time accumulate the effects. If you buy boots in the beginning, it only takes one vitality slot. You move around lanes faster, you can get to jungles faster, you can farm crates, those little imp statues faster. And it only needs one green slot. And later you can, change it to enduring speed and, get even more movement speed. But it even gives you health regen. So boots are typically like my fourth or fifth item that I get in a build. A lot of builds don't have them, but I would always get some sort of movement ability, especially early game, because it's going to pay dividends as you play the game. So one thing I want to mention is that when you're sliding, you get unlimited ammo. So for instance, if I'm sprinting and I slide like that, you can see that unlimited ammo icon that comes on. This is super important. Let's say you have 22 shots, and as you're chasing somebody, you can actually slide and shoot and get that extra bonus ammo. And imagine like you're at a very low clip and you're about to reload. What you can actually do is go super low and then just take extra shots like that. When you start reloading, it doesn't matter. Like you won't be able to shoot because once the reload animation starts, you can kind of interrupt it by sliding. But it's super important for when you're chasing somebody. I find when I'm playing Vindicta early game, like I run out of ammo as I'm shooting somebody, but you can get those bonus shots if you just slide. Look at how things scale, and there's a lot of odd, interesting kind of behavior. So, for instance, for Haze as a character, you'd think that like if you're building Haze, typically with fixation, which is her passive, which if you shoot the same person, you do more damage to that same person. You'd think you want to get Titanic magazine, so you just have more clip, 100 bullets or something, and just do more damage. But your ammo account, whatever, actually increases with most spirit. So there's a lot of interesting kind of situations in which like you'd see builds that might build unorthodox items, but they in turn give you a passive kind of benefit like increased ammo. So I want to mention flex spots. Right now, in the way the game's set up, is that you get a flex spot if you kill the enemy's lane, all the enemy lane guardians like this. You get one flex spot. If you kill one watcher, you get another flex spot. And if you kill a set of base guardians, you get another flex spot. And if you kill one shrine, you get a flex spot. Now the order doesn't matter. Like you can push the lane and get a watcher and get a flex spot. You can get them in any order. But oftentimes when you're playing the game, flex spots become super important, especially kind of mid to late game, because then you start having to sell items because you run out of slots. And then you can also in those flex spots buy any type of item. So if you're doing a build that requires a ton of spirit, well then you're basically stuck because you only have 4 slots of spirit. So then those flex spots really matter as you play the game, and it should be in your decision making. Like, okay, maybe I should just go push, and not worry about these other base guardians because if I get these two that are already vulnerable, I can get that flex spot. So not only should you push buildings because it gives you map control and lets you get closer to the end game, which is you can kill the patron. It also just gives you flex spots. The other thing I want to mention, the other tip, is that when you kill in one lane, the watcher, the lane guardian, as well as the base guardians, the zip line now extends all the way over here when the minions are pushed, and it has speed on it. It's not as fast as when you're doing like kind of like the speed mode on the zip line, but it's fast enough that like when you're doing it, it just make a difference. It's a lot faster than regular. So just important thing for mobility, it gives you map control. It also gives you that extra mobility. So key thing here is that you can actually heal a lot of health from your healing minion. So if I, for instance, take damage here and you see this line between me and the healing minion, I think every 10 seconds, the healing minion heals me by 40 health. And this is super important. Like early game, you might take some damage, but you can basically just stay behind or get your healing minion and then get that bonus health. And it's going to pay a ton of dividends. What I also do is when I'm trying to push lanes, what I'll do is I'll focus the enemy healing minion and this will just make sure that if I do chip damage towards my enemy, he can basically heal. So yeah, I basically stay and I peel beside my healing minion and I just get health, and it's almost as good as having like an item. So Deadlock has this concept of unsecured souls. What it means is that if you kill like a crate and you get souls from the crate, or you kill jungle, like I'll do right here, you actually get unsecured souls. You see them on the bottom left, and these souls basically will be gone if you die and someone can pick them up. So that orb beside your character, that little green orb that's shining, the larger it is, the more unsecured souls you are. What you can do is if you have a ton of unsecured souls, you can buy an item and then secure it. Of course, this is sandbox, so I have unlimited souls, but yeah, like in game, let's say I want to get Warpstone, which costs 3,000, and I have 2,800. I'll quickly farm a little bit, the jungle or some crates to get to 3,000, and then I'll buy a Warpstone, and then I'm basically securing the souls and like buying an item. So try not to have a ton of souls that are unsecured, because your orb is going to shine really large, and if you die, you lose all the farm and basically just get behind. So ziplines themselves are not a get out of jail free card. If you go on a zipline, you're basically pushing yourself in the air, and if someone shoots you when you're on the zipline, you get stunned and then they can catch up to you. So typically when I'm running away from somebody, I'm trying not to get ganked, I'm going to dash, I'm going to use obstacles, I'm going to try to move around, use abilities, and then later go on the zipline to get to my base faster. I don't want to jump on the zipline immediately, because if they shoot me, I'll get stunned. Another thing that's important is that when you're on the zipline, it takes around 3 seconds. But when you're on the zipline for 3 seconds, you're going to see like a blue glow. And that blue glow means that you're now invulnerable. So I'm going to show that in this video right now. This blue glow happens now. And then you see this like blue kind of vapor coming off of you. This means that you're invulnerable. So typically when you're like pushing lanes or something and you take the zipline back and someone tries to cut you off, don't worry, you're safe if you have that blue glow. Yeah, zipline is good for movement. It's not good for just jumping on to get out of the lane. So of course, you've played this game, you've seen guides. If you press F, that does a parry. But the key thing about parry is not only is it great like in combat, if you're someone who does a very predictable parry, someone does a very predictable heavy attack and you parry, they get stunned. But when you're getting rejuvenator, and it's coming down and someone tries to steal it, always try to have at least 2 heroes on your team. One does the parry and then one charges and kills the rejuve. Because if you do that, the other guy that's parrying can then basically stun and block someone from stealing the rejuve. So it's a very useful thing to do, to parry near the rejuve. Always have someone do that. You can also use abilities like Dome from Kelvin or Black Hole from Dynamo, and that will also secure the rejuve. I've had games where like everyone's like, oh, not a big deal, but then you have someone from the enemy team come in from the top, charge up, and they know the timing, and they steal the rejuve. So always parry. Have someone parry the rejuve. People do it. So really kind of funny thing here too is you cannot use the enemy's lane chops. So if I try to use this guy's lane chop, right now the tower's going to hit me. But yeah, you cannot use their shit. You can use their secret chop, but you cannot use their lane chop. So one time I was in a game and I was like super lit. So the creeps are pushing in and I wanted to buy like a healing rate from the enemy's shop and I couldn't, and I literally died. So recall that like you can use any lane chop from your team, but you cannot use the enemy's lane chops. You can use their secret chop. So veils are super important in this game. There are these like gray walls here. They allow you to see one way. And it's a great defensive position. It's great to do some damage and set up ganks. They're just like bushes in League of Legends. So this is deadly important. This is one really interesting thing of Deadlock that encourages more dynamic play during laning phase, is that the souls that you have before 10 minutes that you last hit from in your lane, I said that really bad, it doesn't get split among whoever's near you. Everyone gets the souls. So if you go and try to gank another lane and you last hit, there's no kind of drawback. And you can actually double farm. So you can go to another lane, you can help them gank, you can help them farm the last hits, and then you can go back to your lane and clear a wave. So very advantageous to gank. After 10 minutes, the souls don't get split, and whoever's around, the last hit, they get the souls. And if you you steal an enemy team's kind of souls, then only you, if you deny them, only you get it. So super useful. It's very useful to mine these crates. They give you passive bonuses. Essentially, like if you get these passive bonuses, they're just like having a couple items over the game. And this, I call them like the railroad or like sewers, whatever. They have a ton of crates in them and you can farm these. So what I do is typically when I want to go to the shop is I'll just take the sewers and I'll just farm these things. And basically I get a bunch of extra farm and little passive benefits that do so, and it will let me buy an item that I'm getting. It's also a really good way to get around the map without basically exposing yourself. So super funny thing is like you can actually sleep the enemy tower. Right now I'm playing with bots and they're just shooting it. But you can sleep the tower and then start attacking, the heroes nearby, the enemy heroes, and then the tower doesn't hit you. So really interesting gimmick. There's a lot of kind of weird, somewhat overpowered stuff in this game that is fun to use. So not only does getting the urn give you a bunch of souls and give you some bonus extra souls, it also gives you an ability point. So that might be enough for you to get, an extra ability much sooner and power it up. So if you use an ability, it will stay when you use the urn. So I can use, for instance, Smoke Bomb and then run really fast and be hidden and then still have the urn. Note that you cannot use an ability when you already have the urn because you're basically silenced and you can't shoot. So yeah, definitely use this. So really interesting kind of deadlock thing here is if you're playing 7 and you ult, a lot of people just try to get out of line of sight and that kind of nullifies the damage that 7 is doing. But if you have an Ivy, Ivy can actually pick up 7 and move him around as he's ulting. And he gets bullet resist. So I've seen this combo. It's kind of broken because like people play 7 just for the ult. And then Ivy comes in and just like makes it so much better. And I've seen it win games. There's a lot of broken stuff. And another thing I want to show is if you're playing Kelvin, for instance, his ice bridge can literally take people from the urn to the other place. So you can pick up the urn, he can make an ice bridge, and then that ice bridge can take you to the other urn. And you can even use Ivy's ult and pick someone off and drop them off at the urn drop off location. So there's a lot of really interesting behavior in this game. So Lash, when he does his ult, it takes some time for it to actually start, and he makes a shit ton of noise and he goes in the air. That's the actual best time to kill him because he's a big target and he's in the air. So typically when I see a Lash, either it's like get the fuck out or like kill him as soon as possible and just focus him. Same thing I do with like a 7. Another thing I want to mention is like Lash can literally pick you up in spawn and throw you into his spawn. So I've had games where we're all in the pit and then a Lash spawns from the enemy team. He runs out, uses his ult, he grabs everybody and then throws out everybody on my team into the other team spawn, and then we all die because the friggin' if you're in their spawn, you take a shit ton of damage. So key thing with healing Rite, it's a really good item to get some bonus health and it increases your regen. But the thing is that if you get shot when you're using healing Rite, it nullifies it and you have to wait for it to come again. So typically what I do is if I see an enemy team doing healing Rite, I'll push and I'll just do a little bit of chip damage so it dispels healing Rite. Healing Rite doesn't let you heal as you're attacking somebody. It basically dispels, right? So you can change your crosshair. So for me, I play Vindicta. I have a small pink dot as my crosshair with a little bit of the outline. And this lets me aim a lot better. So change your crosshair. Don't have that huge crosshair. It's going to make it harder to aim. You can change it in this game. So another key thing is that Rejuvenator is not just for making sure that your respawn time is less. It also buffs your minions' health and gives them health regeneration. This is super important because oftentimes when taking mid-boss, it's kind of a big decision. It's risky as well. And it doesn't provide any immediate benefit. Like you might want to push a Watcher and get a flex spot, get more map control. Stepping back and taking rejuv is kind of risky. Because like if you go and like kill the mid-boss, you don't get any actual souls from killing the mid-boss. You just get the rejuvenator thing. But rejuv gives you a bunch of shit. The reduced response time is 1. It takes only half the time now. And number 2 is your minions get buffed. So oftentimes, like if your lanes are not pushed up fully, it's not a big deal. Or if a Watcher's super low, because if you take the rejuv, chances are your minions are going to get more health. They're going to take more regen. And they can actually go and then kill the Watcher that's almost dead anyway. And you can kill the mid-boss instead of going and killing the Watcher. Also, if you get extra souls by killing a rejuv. So it gives an immediate boost to your team and in farming as well. So rejuv is a really good thing to take. Again, it's risky. Maybe you just get the Watcher. But like you can still maybe get the Watcher if you just get more health on your minions. So sound is very important in this game. A lot of people like they're running like this. And for some reason, like I always hear Infernus. Infernus is super loud. But if you crouch, you don't make noise. So typically when you're getting close to a lane to a gank, I wouldn't make myself noticeable and make this noise. But you can actually crouch and you can sneak up in the lane and then just go in and start doing all your bullshit. So key thing is that there's also teleporters in the game. Like you can use the zip lines to move across. You can use the sewers. But there's also these teleporters that They just added number 4. This may change as the game moves on, but this is a great way to move around if you know where these teleporters are. This is great. So oftentimes, like, I'll use a teleporter, and like if I'm split pushing on like the purple lane, I'll push that lane, and then I'll take the zip line back, and then I'll jump into the teleporter, and then push the other lane. So it's really good to move around the map. It does take some time, and you're kind of vulnerable inside the teleporter. It makes noise, but it is a really cool thing to kind of move around. There's a lot of verticality in this game. There's different paths of getting around each other. You can take the sewers, you can take the teleporters, you can just walk across, and they all kind of work. And it's interesting how this is gonna affect the meta. So that's it for the video. This is a clip of me, killing some lady geist and trying to snipe them. I friggin' hate trying to hit ults like that. It's so hard. But yeah, I stream on Twitch sometimes. I'll be making more videos. If you like this type of stuff, like and subscribe. I think I had 25 count or whatever tips, but I don't know. I was editing this video and I got lost. But I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you around. And have a good one. Enjoy Deadlock. It's a really fucking good game. I played this game for 2 to 3 months, and honestly, it's just getting better. It's already very polished. Big props to Valve, and yeah, I keep talking. Goodbye.